A waitress with greying pigtails had asked Hamish more than once if he needed anything. He'd said no, but the old girl kept popping her head around the saloon doors to check on him, until finally he'd felt compelled to order a coffee. Bloody rural Australians, always in everyone else's business. He'd been patient for an hour, but the duet from Dirty Dancing was too much. That greasy Brazilian making eyes at his daughter, in public, on a stage, and no one doing anything about it. Not even Paula. She didn't give a shit, apparently, leaving in the middle of it, abandoning their children to the care of old Sid. Hamish didn't stir as Paula walked out of the bar and stood within metres of him. She looked up at the night sky for a moment, before jogging off across the car park. He watched her ass as she moved. It was definitely smaller now. And I should know. I've seen that view 1,000 times. He was on the verge of following her when he caught the duet's climax in the bar. In a smooth dance stunt that wowed the crowd, the Brazilian lifted his daughter in the air. He could deal with Paula later, Hamish decided. For now, he had unfinished business with the Brazilian. It was almost 11 o'clock when they finally emerged from the pub. The Brazilian had one arm around Katie, the other around Sid, who looked a bit pissy. Lockie was bringing up the rear, like a faithful dog trotting at the Brazilian's heels. Hamish followed at a distance as they lurched across the car park. He crouched next to the hatchback, watching as Caitlin disappeared into the caravan. Sid urinated behind a tree, then proceeded to brush his teeth in a small bucket outside the van. The Brazilian took a towel and toiletries from the tent, then walked towards the amenities block. It was exactly as Hamish anticipated. Eucla had taught him that the foreigner took showers at night. The Brazilian whistled as he walked, obviously in a good mood. Not for long, amigo. Lockie suddenly jogged after the Brazilian, calling his name. Hamish couldn't hear their conversation, but his son appeared to be doing most of the talking. The Brazilian kept shaking his head. Lockie looked pretty worked up. Is Lockie defending his sister? At one point, Lockie pulled a telephone from his pocket. The Brazilian reached for it, but Lockie ducked away. "Touch my son, and I'll kill you." The Brazilian held his hands up, open-palmed, and Lockie slipped the phone back into his pocket. They talked some more before finally the Brazilian turned away. He continued walking, slower now, to the amenities block. Hamish waited until he could hear the water running before sneaking across the sand. Standing a metre from the shower door, he laid a small hand towel over the plastic revolver and aimed it at the door handle. For a moment he thought of Doggo's wife, Tina, and her crazy predilection for carrying toy guns around. When he'd left Melbourne a week earlier, he never could have imagined using Tina's weapon of choice against a Brazilian sleazebag. His hands trembled a little as he heard the taps being turned off, a towel buffing skin, clothes being donned. Then the click of the lock and the handle turning. The Brazilian stopped dead. His eyes settled on the shape in Hamish's right hand, and a muscle twitched at the side of his neck. "Come for a chat," said Hamish, motioning towards the door. "Keep your hands where I can see them. Don't say a word. Now walk." Miraculously, the Brazilian obeyed. Hamish's heart was battering at his chest as he skirted behind the Brazilian. "Walk to the yellow hatchback parked near the Mack truck." The Brazilian complied. "This little one?" "Shut up." Hamish didn't need the reminder. "Open the door. You're driving." Hamish climbed into the seat behind the Brazilian and pointed the gun at his head. "Start her up." They drove to the place Hamish had scoped out earlier, a deserted rest area overlooking clay salt pans about 10 minutes west of Norseman. Hamish didn't think much of the view, but figured it was a prime spot for intimidation. "Park it down there." The Brazilian drove to the furthest reaches of the parking area, beyond the glow of the singled streetlight. "Get out of the car and put your hands on the bonnet." Hamish stepped out of the car behind the Brazilian, training the gun on him. He took a small maglite torch from his pocket and shone it in the Brazilian's eyes. The Brazilian looked nervous, shying away from the light. "Spread your legs or I'll blow your fucking balls off." "Please, Shut up, motherfucker." Hamish was beginning to enjoy this. "Pissed yourself, have you?" He shone his torch at the crotch of the Brazilian's jeans. The Brazilian didn't reply. Hamish took a step forward. "That's what pussies like you do. Pussies that prey on little girls. It's illegal in Australia, mate. And the big girls in prison will get you for it. They'll rearrange your asshole for you down in maximum security." His voice was shaking. "So what do you reckon I should do? Shoot you now, or call the coppers for a holiday in the big house? What do you reckon?"